calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Hey, welcome. This is Mark D'Antonio with Sky Tour Radio here on KGRA. And for those of you that are wondering if this is a rebroadcast or a recording, it is not. This is our new time. We are now on from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Sunday nights. We've graduated to the earlier slot. We're going to catch more people. We're going to grab more things. And you know what that's going to allow us to do? It's going to allow us to get out under the stars sooner when we go to stream. Because if you recall, Sky Tour Livestream is our companion stream. Now, before I go much further, I just have to say we have the effervescent, I like that word, Amanda Curran with us from Canada. Hey, Amanda.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Daryl. How are you guys?
And Daryl, of course, is here as well. So I was about to introduce him.
Oh, spoilers.
Hello, Amanda. Hello, Mark.
Okay. Hey, Daryl. Welcome. And Daryl, you got some things that I want you to tell us, but I just want to pass on first to the folks. If you haven't checked out Sky Tour Livestream, which is our companion stream to the KGRA radio show, please do. Sky Tour Livestream is on YouTube. You can subscribe. Of course, it's free. And you get access to all these beautiful photos we've taken in our live observatory. You can join us on these nights when we are streaming and see gorgeous stellar birthplaces where stars are born. You can see the remnants of dead and dying stars, glittering jewel boxes of rich clusters of stars. It's really wondrous to watch all these phenomena unfold before your eyes during these live sessions. And if you are so inclined, you can make comments and requests in the chat. We take requests. And as Amanda will attest, and Daryl will attest, we've often gone to locations that people wanted to see. And some of them have turned out to be some of the best suggestions ever. I referenced the Bubble Nebula that our friend from Sofia, Bulgaria, Isabella, mentioned to us and said, could we see the Bubble Nebula? And we went to the Bubble Nebula. And it turned out to be one of the most successful nights of photographing the Bubble Nebula from here we've ever had. And so, as you can see, it's a very interactive observatory where we'll take your requests and do things that you want to see and or look at things you want to see. It's a lot of fun, you know. And, of course, Daryl and Amanda are usually there. And that is our Sky Tour family, okay? And so we want to make sure that you all enjoy yourselves. You learn astronomy in a way that is at your pace and you understand it because I want to make sure that you understand it. Daryl wants to make sure you understand it. And Amanda does understand it. She didn't
Family?
Family, Sky Tour family.
Hey, we put the fun in dysfunctional.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, then maybe distant cousins. How's that? Is that better?
Oh, golly. Let's not go there.
Yeah, well, the bottom line is that we absolutely love what we do. And, you know, most of you know I'm an astronomer. That's what I chose to do with my life. And my parents said, why don't you get a job where you make money? Yeah, well, I probably should have listened. However, astronomy is beautiful. And looking up in the night sky is something that most people don't do, and they probably should. Daryl's done it for many years. And he shakes his head, I think. I can speak for him when I say that he shakes his head at the people who just look at their phones and drive down the road and don't even think about looking out at the night sky, even if they have the opportunity under a dark sky. So that's something that's just horrifying. I can't stomach that. But mind you, if you do look up, and of course not while you're driving, as Amanda will say, you will see a new world, especially if you're in a darker sky.
The more you look, the more you'll see.
Exactly so. The more you look, the more you'll see. And you might even see something that's unidentified. We've had many reports recently of objects flying through the sky that may not be satellites, might not be meteors. I mean, there's a possibility. Now, I am the chief photo and video analyst for the Mutual UFO Network, primarily because I wanted to add a little voice of reason amid the chaos that can sometimes ensue in, groups like that. And I was happy to take on that role. And we have seen some pretty exotic things in the night sky, some of which I cannot explain, some of which I can, most of which I can, only because I have the backup of the science and the access to the databases that everybody has. It's just I know where to look, but I tell you where to go to find it. See, so you can do it yourself. No one ever has to take my word for anything. And that's the beauty of it. It's a science that has a lot of information available to you. So, if you want to see some of these things, you want to see the universe unfold before your eyes, check out Sky Tour Livestream on YouTube. And it's Sky Tour Livestream, Sky Tour, one word, Livestream, one word. And subscribe. And as I said, it's free. Now, we also have a call-in line, but I don't know if our esteemed producer can tell us quickly whether that line is going to be for us to use tonight, possibly. And if it is, we will definitely utilize it. And it is. Okay, thank you very much. That's Bill, our esteemed producer, the man who does more things than a human being should even know how to do. He knows how to do it all. He's probably one of the best people in this whole industry, I can tell you right now. So anyway, that said, moving forward here, I'll make the announcement when we're going to open the phones. All right. And when we do that, it'll be probably the last 40 minutes of the show, 30 minutes of the show or so. But before we go further into anything else we're going to do, I want to give you guys a Sky Tour Livestream West update for what we're doing out west in the desert. But before we do that, there's some really interesting things going on right now in the sky. And I'm talking, of course, about the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter that might be on the wane. But as Darrell will tell you, there's still some interesting things going on with those two crazy kids in the sky. So, Darrell, if you wouldn't mind giving us an idea about what we can see and what is out there for us to look at.
Okay. Well, golly, I am completely unprepared for this. I didn't find out until 2 hours ago that we were doing a show tonight. I thought Mark was in Arizona already. But anyway, watching the sky as I try to do every clear night. You might remember the big conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn back on the 21st of December. It happened to be the winter solstice. And hey, it was a great conjunction. It only happens once every 20 years, and this was the best one in 400 years or 800 years or whatever the number was, depending on who you believe, who you listen to. But it's not like it bang happened and then it's over with. It's still going on. Jupiter and Saturn are still over in the west-southwestern sky after sunset. And as we all orbit the sun and that big highway across the sky I talk about sometimes, we are racing ahead of the outer planets, and they are slowly dropping off into the west, into the west-southwest, a little more night by night. But they are still visible. They have moved apart somewhat. They're still pretty close together. Last I saw, they might be 2 or 3 degrees apart. But interestingly, on that big highway in the sky, Mercury is coming up now. It's on our inside lane. It's the farthest left inside lane. It's going the fastest. Mercury is racing up out of the sunset to meet Jupiter and Saturn. In fact, they did last night. It's a triple conjunction. You have to look soon after sunset, like maybe 15 minutes or so after sunset. You need a low west-southwest horizon, and you'll probably need a pair of binoculars. Mercury joined Jupiter and Saturn last night. Last night it was closer to Saturn, and tonight it's a little closer to Jupiter than to Saturn, and by tomorrow night it will be just past them, but they'll still be close. It's a neat thing to see. Triple conjunctions don't happen that often. Now, after this, Mercury is going to continue rising for a while as it laps the sun in 88 days, where we take 365.2422 days, or whatever it is, a Mercury year. Mercury will continue rising, and Jupiter and Saturn will continue dropping off into the sunset. They're going to eventually go behind the sun and then reappear in the morning sky in some weeks from now. And that's one neat thing that's happening right now.
Well, that's very cool. And, I just want to let folks know, when Daryl said he was unprepared, this is what you get for Daryl being unprepared. Doesn't sound too unprepared, does it? This is a guy who knows his stuff. Let's be clear. So, yeah, he may feel that he needed to prepare, but it turns out you didn't really need to, Daryl. You had it already, right?
Well, I guess. It's been in the popular astronomy press here just in the last week or so. If you go to skyandtelescope.com or get the magazine, they have a weekly article about what's happening in the sky each week, and they mentioned it this week. I figured this out a couple of weeks ago, just playing with Heavens Above, the website I like to use. That I was looking after sunset to see what Jupiter and Saturn were still up to, and I was advancing a day at a time, and golly, all of a sudden Mercury popped up with them. And so I, forewarned is forearmed, I guess. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, the weather's not cooperating here. It snowed yesterday, and it's still very cold and cloudy and foggy and gray today, and I'm not going to get to see it. Hopefully it'll be clear tomorrow night, so I may get one last look at them.
Oh, sorry to hear that, because that's how it goes, right? Like when I got the new telescope for Sky Tour Livestream West, we set it up here in the East Observatory to be able to troubleshoot it. And of course, as soon as I set the telescope up, naturally the sky said, "New telescope, quick, cloud alert, cloud up." Boom.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
That's right. And they just hung there laughing. I could hear them. I go outside in the
area. Yeah. You buy a new telescope, and depending on how much you spent for it, you're guaranteed to have bad weather.
That's right. If it was a little cheapo $300 type telescopes, and I know that doesn't sound cheap to a lot of you, but for those of us that actually have, observatory level telescopes, sometimes we would use one of those smaller ones as a secondary scope on top of the telescope. But if you set one of these up and you go to run it, it'll be nice and clear. But we try to open the dome, and no way. They say, "No, look, big building, shut that down. Let's cloud up." Yeah. So I think that's not a good idea, to announce that we're going to be turning up or opening the observatory, because then we'll end up getting clouded out, right?
Yeah, it happens.
It does, actually, and it happens quite quickly too. We've actually started a stream here on Sky Tour Livestream, and beautifully clear. I come in, set up everything to go out, and we start the stream, start taking pictures, get 2 shots, and all of a sudden I see that there's a little bit of strange artifacts in the photo. I'm like, what's that? I go outside, it's totally cloudy. How does it move that fast? It waits for you not to be looking, and then it says, "Move, move, move, double time," and bam, just clouds up and ruins the night. It's always the process that I can't stand, that I don't know how these things work. I don't know how they talk to each other, but I think they do. I really do. I really think they talk.
I've seen it said the Great Spirit, for want of a better word, is a practical joker.
And maybe so. Maybe so. So, one of the things that's interesting is, when we talk about the observatory and we talk about the telescope, many of you have heard me talk about the fact that we're going to have 2 observatories, right? We have one here in the East and we have one in the West. Well, the one here in the East is getting a makeover. We actually sold the dome. The dome system is gone. So what's out there now is just a lonely pier sitting out in the middle of the front lawn with a beautiful horizon view all the way around. And we're going to replace it with another building just like the one in Arizona. So they're going to be identical buildings, and we're going to be able to take the roof and roll it off the same way. This way, I will not have to go out there, and Daryl's not going to have to hear me say, nor Amanda, "Can you hang on a minute and entertain everybody while I go move the dome?" Because the dome has a little shutter, a little slot, and if the telescope's pointing out of it, great. If not, we see a little red in the image because I have a red light on inside the dome for that purpose, to make sure that I know if there's any obstruction. So we see the obstruction, and I got to go move the dome. Now, that's not such a good thing, especially because we have animals around here, some of which you probably don't want to meet. We have bear, we have mountain lion, we have bobcats, and almost every one of those will run away if they see you. They tend to be afraid of people in general. But I'll be that unlucky guy that a bobcat wants to strike up a conversation with or something, and I don't want that. So I guess it is the way it is, right? So, out there in Arizona, we're going to have this fully remote building where I'll be able to roll the roof off of it from here in Connecticut if I want to. And in Connecticut, I'll be able to roll the roof off of this one here without having to go out there. I will not have to go out to this observatory building unless I need to do routine maintenance. Everything will be automatic finally. And I wrote the program to control it to do that. I just sort of skip through it and say, okay, this is the part where we open up the roof. Okay, that kind of thing. Well, anyway, just to understand some of the mechanics, when we look at the way you operate something remotely like this, you have to think about ways to make hardware do what you want through software, right? How do programs make hardware run? When you flip a light switch, you're physically connecting one wire to another wire, which completes a circuit, and the light goes on. Well, what if there's no one there to flip the switch? How do you make it appear, or how do you make it complete the circuit? Well, then you have to use other electrical components called relays to do that. This is not an electrical talk today at all. I'm just saying that the simplest things you have to consider. Things like taking the cover off the end of the telescope. How do you take the cover off? Well, here you just walk out, you pull the cover off, and you have Velcro on it. You stick it against the wall of the building, and hey, okay, done. The telescope is now open. But when you're 2,400 miles away from the telescope, you can't take the cover off the telescope. So what do? Now you have to design a system that is going to take this cover off the telescope in a way that it can also put it back on. So I did that too. I used what's called a stepper motor. And a stepper motor is just a motor that goes in very discrete motions. If you tell it to go 3,300 steps in one direction and you go 3,300 steps in the other direction, it's right back where it started every single time. That's what a stepper is. It's an exact way to position anything that's on that stepper. So I did that. I created an on-off system for the cover of the telescope using a stepper. So everything has to be considered. Turning on power. Well, here I could go out to the observatory, turn on the computer, and wait a few seconds, and it will start up. I don't have that luxury out in Arizona, right? No one would. So how do you turn on power? Well, I had to create a timer system that will actually turn on the electrical power at a certain time of the day. And because it's Arizona and because it's the desert, it can be very hot in that building. So we have to be able to make sure that the computer doesn't overheat. And the way to do that is to not start the computer until late in the day, like around 6 p.m. And then turn it off at 6 in the morning, the following morning. And it stays off all day, and it'll go on automatically with a timer. Then once it goes on with a timer, the computer is free to start itself up, which it can do because you can program that in. There's a lot of ways to do this. And everything I'm using, every single thing I'm using to run that telescope is free, available to anyone. So clearly, it's economical. As if you have the equipment and you have the space, I would be able to show you how to automate your telescope system so that you can actually use your telescope without ever having to go out into the winter cold. Amanda remembers that when we did Sky Tour live stream here in the dome. I first started by being in the dome every stream,
And people sympathized with you the whole way.
because I literally had my teeth chattering because sometimes it was 15 degrees in there, and people say, "Well, just put a small heater in there." I could have, but the problem is that domes are, by their nature, not meant to be warmed. That actually disturbs the telescope view. and you'd see shimmering in your image as the heat leaves the dome opening. So it has to be the ambient temperature of the outside air. And the only reason the dome is there actually is to do wind protection. It protects from the wind flow. And of course, it's security and weather in case there's weather, right? You can just shut it up. So, but this was a very cold prospect, and it was really no fun. And when you talk to Daryl, he tells you sometimes how he went out to observe. You go out in some real cold weather, Daryl, don't you?
Coldest I've observed in was minus 10 Fahrenheit. I've done that several times.
Jeez.
When I lived up in the high country, we'd have spells of minus 30, minus 35 F weather. And, hey, it would warm up one night to minus 10. I'd say, well, heck, I'm going to drag the scope out.
I think I'll wear a T-shirt tonight.
Yeah, I'd wear layers upon layers.
I bet you would. I mean, yeah, see, and, when I went to Devil's Tower, I spoke at a conference out there. Devil's Tower, Wyoming, of course, where, the movie, the iconic movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, was focused on, although they were there just for a week to get shots of the tower area. They never actually were there for all this time. But the temperatures there, it was September, and I had a group of people. I went out to the countryside. Now, the town that we were in was Hewlett, Wyoming. It was 9 miles from Devil's Tower. You could see it from from a little hill. You could see the tower easily. And it was so dark there. And when we talk about sky darkness in a few minutes, probably after our first break, we'll be able to explain how that sky brightness works. And this little town had streetlights, but they were streetlights that were full cutoff. They only aimed down. They didn't aim light up into the sky. On Main Street, if you blocked the streetlight with your hand, you could see the Milky Way. That's how beautiful this location was. So I said, hey, let's do an astronomy class. Let's do an astronomy sky watch. Let's grab everybody here at the conference and let's go out to the countryside. And I will do a nice little impromptu little thing about astronomy, right? What a great idea. Until we got there. The temperature was 21 degrees. And it was the mildest of winds. It was only like 5 miles an hour. But at 5 miles an hour, 21 degrees cuts right through you like a knife. I couldn't feel my nose after about 3 minutes, and my cheeks were gone after about 4. Then my head with a hat began to, get cold. My feet were already just numb, couldn't feel them at all. Didn't take any time at all. And we stood out there, looked at a few things. I tried to stay warm, but every step was painful. And I just, I know that astronomy is a sport of people willing to withstand the cold. But call me a wimp, but I'm just not there anymore. I don't want to go out into the cold anymore. I bet you're like that too, Daryl. I'm sure you don't want to jump out into the cold every second, but you could do it if you have to, right? Maybe so.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, and this is one big reason why I don't drag out the big scopes as much as I used to. I just, I don't like the cold that much anymore.
Yeah.
Can I ask kind of a slightly unrelated telescope question?
You may.
I know Daryl said in the past he doesn't like dragging out those big ones, but he has a grab and go. How powerful can you get a grab and go?
Well, it depends on the telescope. I could, oh golly, it's my grab and go. It's a 5-inch Maxitov Cassegrain telescope. You might figure 50 power per inch of aperture. It's 5-inch aperture, so I might be able to push 250 power, maybe 300, but I would really need an equatorial mount to even do that. Because it's a grab and go, I just have it on a simple camera tripod, a nice Manfrotto tripod, but still, it's kind of a pain in the butt to use it any kind of high power at all.
Well, because I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware that you can get something so convenient. They think like, it's so heavy and to move it around. And then like, what if you get it all out there and set up and then the clouds come in? So, I mean, this is a convenient option that will let you see, quite a few objects, I think, right?
Well, it's, it's life is full of trade-offs. You'll get a lot more use out of a small telescope. It's easy to move than you will a great big telescope. It's a bear to move.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe it'll get people interested enough. They can do it, more conveniently that they get hooked and they do want to take the extra time to get a larger telescope and see more and put in the work. But I mean, if it's such a big ordeal every time when someoe's just getting started out, maybe a grab and go is something.
Well, yeah.
To look at.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One of the things too that I was going to say is like a really nice grab and go is the Celestron 6 SE, I think. It's a little telescope that you can, it's a go-to, meaning that it can align fairly easily with the North Star so that you can tell it where to go and look for things, and it'll automatically steer to those items and then check them out in your eyepiece. They're called go-to telescopes, and if you're going to do a grab and go, you could do a grab and go too. Okay, make it a go.
Even better for a newcomer.
Yeah, exactly. And I've advised a lot of people on the 6SE. From Celestron, because it's really, really nice. And I think it has it's a fork mount, but it has one fork on one side. And it aligns pretty easily. I watched the guy set it up in astronomy when I was doing an astronomy talk in a local astronomy club here. He had one and he set it up in 3 minutes, ready to go. Didn't know anything about the sky, just knew how to align it. And the thing is, you don't have to align it to the North Star if you don't want to. You can set it up so that it's basically perpendicular to the ground, and it can also do that for visual, not photographic stuff. It's perfect. You can use it in just a couple of minutes. So that said, I think we're going to have to take a couple of minutes ourselves to take a breaky poo here. As our producer says, breaky poo.
It's very professional.
Yes, that's very professional, yeah. I think it's a new time slot, folks. It makes people crazy, But you know what? We'll talk more about all this when we get back. Thanks for joining us here on our new time, 6 to 8 on Sundays with SkyTour Radio. This is Mark, Amanda, and Daryl. We'll be right back.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. And purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. After just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 945-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. That's 945-882-7221. Or go to the website angioprim.com.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The On Air Live button. So just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, the KGRADB.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
Mainstream media's most wanted. KGRAradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to, this is KGRA, isn't it? Yes, it is. This is KGRA Radio. I'm here with Amanda. Hello there, Amanda. What's happening? How are you?
Not much, yeah.
Wow, I'm fine. And Daryl's here, too. Daryl, you doing all right?
So far.
Yeah, we're hanging in there.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, well, it's the new time, you know. We are now at a new time where it's from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Commander Cobra, our good and esteemed friend, has left the airwaves for a period of time, and we have taken over this time slot. And then after us comes 2 more paranormal shows. And so they wanted to put paranormal shows next to each other, and that's why I believe they put us here. But this is nice, I think, because what it's going to do is going to help us be able to get to streaming earlier. Normally, our 8 to 10 slot, after 10 p.m., there might not be a whole lot happening, but we're going to end at 8 o'clock now. And that might make something better happen for all of us. We might be able to stream, better. We can start streaming here in the East for a while, and then start streaming out West. So we're going to have both observatories running, hopefully concurrently, actually. They can do that. And Daryl's going to call me a turncoat again, but I investigated the Starlink setup out there. It looks like at our observatory site out there, we are going to have 99.2% uptime with Starlink where we're located. That literally means almost all day long and all night long. We're going to have uptime. We're going to be down for like less than 15 minutes a day. Okay. That is crazy. That's beautiful. And that's good. So we are going to get Starlink as soon as it's available for us.
Maybe you can get Elon Musk to sponsor your show.
This would be great.
Yeah.
All we need are those the actual numbers of listenership and demographics, and we'll be fine.
Turncoat.
There it is. Hey, you know what? I hate Starlink, but I hate it. But you know what? It's going to allow us to do our public outreach in a way that could never be done before. And guess what, Daryl? Here's the other part. It's going to allow us to take SkyTour live stream anywhere, even to the most dark locations in the continental United States, and be able to utilize the stream and do that. Because we're working on a, drum roll please, portable rolling observatory that we can drive around the country and set up anywhere and just do our same thing we always do. And with Starlink available, it doesn't matter. We'll have it everywhere we go. I looked at the numbers. I looked at the locations. Everywhere we'd want to set up, whether it's in Monument Valley, whether it's in San Francisco, even, whether it's in New Mexico, whether it's in the Pecos Wilderness in New Mexico, we can use Starlink to get us very fast, effective internet. And so that's going to change the playing field when it comes to doing the public astronomy outreach. Because you know how it is. Within SkyTour Livestream, we've taught classes all over the world with SkyTour Livestream. You know, people come to us and say, hey, can you show me this? Can you show me that? We've had people from everywhere. You know, you go in the chats and we look at our chats. It's like, hello from Rio de Janeiro. Hello from Bulgaria. Hello from Mexico. You know, people watching from all over the world. I mean, that is sort of unique. It's a unique thing, and it's not unique that people come into YouTube from all over the world, but it's unique that people come in and watch live observatory from all over the world. I have people looking at our stream where it's daytime for them when it's nighttime here. Folks, for instance, in Australia, we have a number of listeners, actually watchers down in Australia. One who's very popular with us, really nice guy, and he it's daytime for him when he's watching our stream. It must feel odd, right? But for the people who think that the Earth is flat, I'm debating whether I'm going to go into this, but I might just challenge some of the flat earthers to come on here and try to give it their best shot. Okay, I just might do that.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. We'd make short work of them. But you know what? Amanda knows about this topic because that's how she and I actually met.
I mean, I'm not on camera. I'm muted, but somehow you could still feel me cringing, right? As soon as you said that term.
I can tell you this, okay? I never, ever held that against you. You have always been a saint, a wonderful person. You always were trying to do innocently, you were trying to do the best you could for the people you were working with. Yeah. And that's a rare quality. It's why you're a co-host of Sky Tour Radio.
Well, it's your fault for being so nice.
Well, I agreed to try it and do it, but...
You were the only one silly enough to actually agree to a flat earth debate, and I feel bad, but I appreciate it.
Well, you know what the fact is... Go ahead, Daryl.
My usual refrain, that's why everything's better with Amanda.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
It's true.
I don't think it was better with me trying to get Mark to do a flat earth debate many years ago, but I mean... Now we have an interesting little meeting story, so.
I guess so.
Obviously, we're it's all good now. We're all friends here now, yeah. So.
Absolutely. But I can tell you right now that, and again, when I'm unprepared for something, I will tell you. I didn't think it was going to take much to debate the folks from the Flat Earth group there, and I was wrong. They had lots of statements they were making, which of course were not correct, but that I was unprepared to respond to at the moment. And when they sort of jackhammer you with one after the other, then that sort of gives the illusion that they're winning an argument because you're just sitting there going, well, what? And
I find some people's stupidity kind of catches me off guard too. You don't really know what to say because you can't believe what they just said in the first place. So
yeah,
I could see how it would be a little off-putting.
Yeah. And it's like when people say, well, the Earth is flat. And you know what? I honestly believe that they intellectually know that it's certainly not. I think they just enjoy creating the conspiracy farce. I think they actually like it.
They do.
You think that too, Daryl?
Well, they're either people who couldn't pass an earth science class in junior high school, or they're just attention seekers, and they're in it for the the attention.
Yeah, and and when they get certain celebrities to just side with them, and you look at that celebrity and say, well, he's no Einstein. He's like a person who maybe barely went through college and did so on a sports scholarship. And that is the reason he has credibility in science. Now, if he was a PhD, then my head would turn. I'd say, well, okay, now I want to know what's going on here. But he wasn't, and this type of thing, they're latching onto the wrong people. You know what I mean? So it's pretty odd, and I think that it's really interesting when you talk to those folks to actually hear and what they say. I actually say to myself when they're talking and going on and on and on, I kind of drone them out after a while. I forget they're even talking. And I'll look at them and I'll say, does this person actually really believe what he's saying? Holy cripes, I can't believe he actually believes what he's saying. So I figure he doesn't believe what he's saying. This has got to be an act. So convinced that the show that Amanda got me on was basically that. It was just an act, trying to get attention. I became a little belligerent. And I did it because of the fact that I felt that they were trying to play games with me. So I got belligerent. And, it devolved to name calling, which of course is silly and stupid and never productive. And so for the second half of the show, I just hung up and just abandoned the whole show. I said, I'm not even going to do it, because I'm going to say things I'll regret. But nowadays, however, if there is someone that does want to debate it for real, well, I'm a lot more willing and prepared to talk about it, because I've looked at their theories and why they think this is the case, And
it took me a long time to grasp what they were trying to say.
Yeah.
Like not that, I thought there was anything to it, but I'm like, how exactly do they think this works? And I heard the concept over and over again. I'm like, but I don't get it. I don't understand how they are thinking this is working. I couldn't visualize it in my head. And it's like a plate with like the sun right on top in the middle, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. Got it.
Or unless you've read Terry Pratchett's Discworld books, which is the Earth is flat and it's being held up by 4 huge giant elephants, and they're all standing on the back of the great sky turtle.
Yes.
No, I did not read that one. I've heard that the world is on a turtle, though. I have heard that. I'm not sure where that came from, but
it's the
Chinese mythology somehow, I think.
Well, Native American legend, actually. Native American folklore. But the thing, it's interesting because I've actually likened the Earth to a turtle because, the Earth has the oxygen on its back, right? The atmosphere. And within that oxygen atmosphere, we can survive and exist. So, in a sense, we live within the turtle shell, don't we? And so that is an analogy that actually does make some sense to me in terms of culture and why a culture would come up with such an analogy. Pretty interesting stuff, but I can say this. It's really not, in reality, I mean, it's all beautiful myth and culture when we talk about, the Mother Earth and the turtle. And Gaia and so forth. But it really is just mythology in the end. And we have to consider that it's going to be through the rigorous application of science that we're going to understand in reality what the universe is, what the universe has in store for us, and how we can use it to get off this rock. Because someday we'll have to, as we've talked about before. And in that regard, I think that we're actually, I guess, in a pretty good position as science folks. Now, I do know that some of the theories about the flat Earth, little things, for instance, they claim that the sun is like a spotlight and it moves over different areas, and that's why you can't see it, right? Because it actually is a focus spotlight with like a shade on it, like a light shade. Okay. Well, if it's doing that, then as it approaches, it should be getting bigger in the sky, and as it goes away, it should be getting smaller in the sky. But it doesn't. It stays the same size. So how do they explain that? Well, they don't have an explanation. All they do is like, blah, 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 they mumble through something. And there's like 100 other things like that. So, is it worth doing? Only if you feel like you want to be sadistic and take advantage of the lesser folks out there. Then then you could actually go ahead and take on a debate like that. Because I do consider them, the ones that actually believe it. They're either one, misinformed about science, which is understandable, sad because of our educational system.
Or uninformed.
Or, uninformed.
Well, those are the ones who failed earth science in junior high school.
Yeah, and something, I've found that a lot of people like that are more than willing to listen, and they're actually happy to hear what you have to say. And so I'm careful not to malign people like that. The only ones I malign are the ones that are militant about this whole topic. And those people I have little use for. And so I will just be content to, talk to them and let them dribble all over their faces. They're trying to convince me that they know what they're talking about, while all the time thinking, yes, this person literally doesn't have a clue, And this is good.
I'm sorry. The Greeks figured this out thousands of years ago, just by studying the length of shadows at different places north and south on the Earth's surface.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how they figured out latitude, I guess. That shadow was like this in Greece, but hey, if you go down so far into Egypt, the shadow is much shorter, or it's gone completely at high noon.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I forget where I first saw this. It might have been on the old James Burke's Connection show. Uh, uh, when telescopes were first invented, supposedly, and before Galileo started pointing them at the sky, one use people had for telescopes was at seaports. They were watching for ships to come in.
Yeah.
And they noticed that they could see the masts of the ships while the ship was still over the horizon, below the curve of the Earth's surface,
Right.
or the ocean surface, so to speak. And even if they didn't know what the Greeks knew thousands of years ago, they knew 400 or 500 years ago that the Earth is curved because they always saw the masts before they saw the ships come into view.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually one of the oldest analogies people use to say, well, what about ships? But they actually have a way to explain that, which isn't correct, but they are happy to explain it and pat themselves on the back for it. But the other thing that shuts them right down is when you say to them, okay, when we look at Orion up here, we see that Betelgeuse is at the top left of Orion from the northern hemisphere. Where is Betelgeuse if you go down and look at it from Australia? Or just below the equator? Where's Betelgeuse? Where's Betelgeuse from southern Argentina? And then you actually have to explain it's on the bottom left. Now, how is that possible? And the answer is because you are moving on a sphere. And so the constellations are upside down in the southern hemisphere relative to what you see in the northern hemisphere. It really throws people off. So how do you possibly explain that? And well, that's when they fumble and go and just walk away, and pretend they won the argument anyway. So it's just crazy, what they think is correct, and they don't want to hear the reason. I just find that, science is okay. I was going to say science isn't rocket science, but astronomy isn't necessarily rocket science. Oh, it can be, and we can make it that way. But you know something? Most times, it just needs to be observational. What do you see? What does it tell you? Right, Daryl? That's what we look for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hipparchus, he figured out precession of the equinoxes thousands of years ago, which maybe we'll talk about later.
Okay. Yeah, exactly so.
They didn't have telescopes in ancient Greece, but they still watched the skies, as I said before, ever since there had been people. And since Prometheus or whoever discovered fire, they had watchmen staying up all night. And if nothing else, it was a way to pass the time. They watched the sky night after night after night. They started noticing certain patterns, certain rhythms. And that was the original basis for observational astronomy.
Exactly. And see, that's the thing, when I was going through astronomy, when I was working on it, I understood cultural astronomy. I understood how it was viewed by the ancient Babylonians. I looked at it, but the thing that I couldn't set aside was the fact that the sky we see today is not the sky they saw then, for a number of reasons. Obviously, there has been some, depending on how many thousands of years have passed, there has been something called precession that has taken place. The North Star, everybody thinks, is up near the North Pole, and they think it's always been that way. But it's not. In fact, the star Vega, is going to be close to the North Pole again someday, as it was in the past. Same with Deneb and Cygnus, and some of the other stars like Thuban and Draco. And over a 26,000 year cycle, the whole Earth's North Pole wobbles like a top. Okay? If you think about a top, as it starts to lose some energy, and there's not an analogy with the Earth losing energy here, by the way. It's just that, at a certain point, the Earth was spinning perfectly, but then something happened, probably the collision that created the moon. And then the Earth's the Earth's rotation began to kind of precess like a top that's running out of energy. You notice that the thing you press down on to get it to spin is now sort of going in a little circle, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until finally it falls over. That's not what's going to happen here. But what I'm getting at is that precession problem is something that creates a different North Star all the time throughout our history. It doesn't happen in the lifetime of a human, okay, but it does happen over a number of lifetimes that take you over several thousand years. So the stars and the North Pole to the Babylonians was not the North Pole we see now. Those stars have changed a little bit, okay? And the interesting thing about all that is that in those days, the people back then, they had pristine skies. There was no light pollution. You just had to go a mile away from the city, and you'd see a stunning sky, because the only light they had was the light from fires that they set. In those early days, they didn't have lights. You couldn't see the lights of a city from a distance. You could see the light of like bonfires, but you couldn't see the lights of the city because there were no lights of the city. Now, in those days, when the sky was so dark, now you can see more stars than you ever imagined you could see. This is why when people look at Orion and they see Betelgeuse, Bellatrix, Rigel, and Saiph, and then the three belt stars, they see those stars and they say, well, I don't see a hunter. No, you don't. Okay, this is like, you've said this too, Amanda. You don't see a hunter. How do you get a hunter out of that? Well, you don't in these skies, but you did. You could see the other stars, which made up the rest of what probably made up the hunter in their minds, okay, back then. All right, because there was no light pollution, And we're going to talk about light pollution as well tonight, because we want to talk about how the different locations suffer from light pollution. We're going to pick on where Daryl lives. We're going to pick on where Amanda lives. We're going to pick on where I live. We're going to pick on where Skytra Livestream East is. We're going to pick on where Mauna Kea is in Hawaii, and see what do they face. Just incredible stuff. And I'll introduce it. And Daryl, we've talked about this, and Amanda, if you haven't heard about this, or any of you out there haven't heard about this, this is your time to pay attention, because this is the fun part. Figure out what your sky is. Figure out how bright your sky is. And it was back in 2001. There was a guy named John Bore-tle, Bortle, Bore-tle, and he came up with a way to characterize the skies primarily for their brightness, because it'd be helpful to astronomers to say, hey, our sky is this rating for where we are. It's based on whether there's a city nearby that's causing the light to light up our skies or whatever. And of course, dark skies are, of course, the best. And, where can you find truly dark skies? Well, we have to look at how we characterize these, okay? And one thing to talk about is the Bore-tle scale. The Bore-tle scale goes from 1 to 9, all right? And, we'll talk a little bit more about those indicators when we get back from the break, but I did want to just say a couple other things, and that was that we talk about the Bore-tle scale and the brightness of the sky in terms of whether we can see certain things that are part of our solar system that might not normally be seen in the sky. And I think Daryl probably knows what at least one of those things is. Putting him on the spot. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know, Daryl. You probably do, but you're probably on mute. I don't know.
I was on mute. Well, don't leave me hanging. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the zodiacal light is...
Oh, well, sure.
Right. And then equally is something called the Gegenschein. And we'll define those things for you in a few minutes. But these are faint attributes of our solar system that are visible from the faintest, from the darkest sky sites. And if you can see them, you're probably in a very dark sky site. If you can't, then you might be sort of in the middle, in between dark and light. And our observatory in the desert is sort of in between dark and light. We're close enough where we have access to the infrastructure, but we're far enough away that we have skies that'll just paralyze you with awe. And this is all of you, everyone listening, you should all be able to come out to the desert and see this site. There's plenty of room to take pictures. There's plenty of room. It's 5 acres, in fact, worth of land out there to take pictures of. And all we need to get is the permission of the owners, and I'd be happy to see if we can do that. We're building on a friend's property, and it's just amazing out there. There's been times when I actually had one of my infrared drones out there, and I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I was awakened by coyotes howling outside the fence line. So I sent the infrared drone up and could see these coyotes running through the desert about 2 a.m. And then they all stopped and surrounded something, and then all of a sudden I heard, and then, of course, that was the coyotes got their dinner and had made a kill. So it was really interesting to watch all this. But so, there are animals out there. There's also people to deal with too. But what happens is the people out there, once you meet people in Arizona, you realize it's really not like elsewhere. In the Northeast, people are very closed. They don't seem to be overly sociable. And to be honest, you wonder whether it's worth striking up a conversation with some people here, because you don't know what they're going to do or how they're going to react. In Arizona, you're hard pressed not to have a conversation. Everybody is so friendly and so nice. I'm not saying they're not like that here, but less so. Out there, it's like, I've been out there every month of the year, and so far I've never had to stay in a hotel. You say you're going out there, and 3 or 4 people want you to stay with them. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing, when you have friends like that. It's almost like a different way of thinking, and I really like it. I really do. On that note, we're going to take a break for a couple minutes, and when we come back, we're going to talk about this Bore-tle scale, and we will be diving into a few other things. So this is Mark, Daryl, and Amanda. We'll be right back on SkyTour Radio on KGRAradio.com.
A birthday without her mom. An anniversary without her husband. Her wedding day without her dad. These are the days when military families feel it most of all. The loss of their soldier, their sailor, their airman, their Marine, their Coast Guardsman. Families never forget their loved ones lost to war or illness or suicide. Families never forget, and neither do we. We are TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. We provide resources, support, and comfort to heal the hearts and meet the needs of grieving military families, all at no cost to them. Your generosity can make an enormous difference in the lives of the families of our fallen military heroes. Our military families need to know they are not alone and they are not forgotten. Show them your support at TAPS.org.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRAradio.com.
Hey, welcome back. This is Mark Antonio with SkyTour Radio on KGRAradio.com. And we're here with Daryl and Amanda as usual, and we're going to talk about the Bore-tle scale, the scale that measures the light and the sky brightness for your particular site. And we mentioned that in 2001, John Bore-tle came up with this to help us figure out whether our skies were good places to hang out, or very timely point in time to move out, whatever. And one thing I've noticed here in my town in Connecticut is the skies have actually become darker over time. Since 2012, the skies have actually darkened up, and we went from having very little Milky Way other than very middle of Cygnus when it was directly overhead to now being able to see Milky Way all the way to north and Milky Way down to almost the southern horizon, not quite. And it's faint, but it's there. And the reason is because of the fact that they changed the rules and laws for what you can put up for lighting. Very important, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And just earlier, Daryl and I were talking about places where there's really dark skies, and we'll talk about that. And after we go through this, we do want to come back to Daryl, circle back, because there's a few other things that I think you guys would like to hear from him. But let's talk about this Bore-tle scale. I mentioned it goes from 1 to 9. And what are the indicators that would tell you what this site setting would be for your location? Are you going to get a 1? Are you going to get a 2, a 6, a 9? What determines it? And one of those settings that you would be concerned about, one of those characteristics of your location, is that we would look for something called the zodiacal light. All right, what's that? Well, zodiacal light is the faint glow that you see from darker locations, and it's reflected light that's coming off the dust in our planetary plane. That planetary plane, the highway in the sky Daryl talks about, is called the ecliptic, and the planets follow the ecliptic. So the dust that we see there actually is dust that forms from collisions between asteroids and from the dust tails of comets. And this replenishes that dust in that plane of the ecliptic. And so if you can see that very faint light, which is primarily visible during the pre-dawn hours or after dusk, for most folks it's generally not visible, but it could be faintly visible depending on how much light pollution you have. Now, to give you an idea how faint it is, if you had a first quarter moon where basically half the moon is illuminated, or you have any light pollution at all, it'll completely overwhelm the zodiacal light and you won't see it. Okay, and that's, again, it's a roughly triangular light pillar that comes up sort of on an angle because the ecliptic's on an angle. And if you can see that, then you're in a really good site. Don't move, stay. Okay. Then on the opposite side of the sun, there's something called the Gegenschein. Now, this is something that, is It's seen in the exact opposite direction of the sun, and it's at what's called the anti-solar point, And in our case, we're observing it from Earth, so everybody on Earth can see the Gegenschein in roughly the same place because we're looking at it from one point of view. So to give you an idea, at a smaller scale, you want to see it, or you want to see what we're talking about. You can imagine that you're looking at a rainbow in the sky. All right. Now, if you're looking at a rainbow, you are going to have the sun behind you. And if you can see your shadow, where your head is in the shadow, is the area around which the rainbow is fixed. Everybody who looks at a rainbow sees a slightly different rainbow. Even someone just a few feet away from you, they're going to see it slightly different because it's a personal experience. All right. And the anti-solar point, the point directly away from the sun when you're looking at a rainbow, is right where the shadow of your head is. Okay. And the rainbow, if the ground wasn't there, would appear like a ring. It wouldn't be just the rainbow that goes up and down and then stops at the ground. It continues around. Right? It would be a ring.
You may have seen that from if you're flying in an aircraft and you're on the opposite side from where the sun is. I flew back from Germany a long time ago. We left there in the early morning, and it's called a glory if you see the full circle rainbow.
That's
and right. The glory followed us all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. And it was great. And right in the very center of the rainbow was the shadow of the airplane.
That's right. That's right. And you know something? You ready for this? Here's what's odd about that. That image that you see, it looks brighter than what's around it. Okay. That image, do you know that physics can't yet explain why that image looks the way it does? Oh, yes, we know that it's going to be a circular halo around the object, but we don't know why the brightness is what it is. There's really no understanding of that. I personally feel it's because that's the point at which most of the particles that do have reflectivity are reflecting directly back at us, closer to where that airplane shadow is, for instance. But officially, there isn't a true explanation for it, which is kind of weird.
I would think it would be like the opposition effect, where, when you look at a full moon, it's an opposition, and you see no shadows on a full moon, so it looks brighter. Something analogous to that, at least.
Yeah, and see, you're not that much different from what I'm thinking, and that is that maybe, like I said, we're looking at particles that are reflecting more completely back to our eye. The closer we get to the shadow of the plane, that's a more direct path back to our eye.
Right.
And that's similar to what you see with the moon. So that the diagonal light and this Gegenschein, then the Gegenschein is something that can the anti-solar point, like the focus of your head shadow on the rainbow. Okay, that's the anti-solar point for your head in the rainbow. Well, if you're looking in the sky, that anti-solar point is the one directly opposite the sun, and in the night sky, you'd see a brightening in the middle. Okay, it's the glory that Daryl was just talking about, but on a universal scale, right? Now, as I mentioned before, the zodiacal light and the Gegenschein are thought to be refreshed by the fact that asteroids do collide and they leave dust behind, right? And also the passage of comets will leave dust in this ecliptic, that path the planets take, the highway, as Daryl calls it. And I think that those are two really important things, and those are measures that we use to determine some of the sky brightness. Another one we use is something called air glow. Air glow is an interesting phenomenon. And if I said to you, do you realize that even in the darkest place on Earth, with the darkest skies, with no lights for, say, 1,000 miles in every direction, your sky is still going to have light pollution? You'd go, wait, what? And the answer is, it's true. Now, this is why it happens. And this is why telescopes on Earth have a practical limit to how long they can take a photograph. Okay? It's a fascinating phenomenon. Our atmosphere is made up of atoms and molecules, obviously. oxygen and nitrogen, obviously primarily among them, with nitrogen being the most common. All right. Now, during the day, these molecules and these atoms are sort of like batteries. They store energy in a sense. And at night, when they release this energy, it's in the form of a faint light. Now, that light can be red. That light can be green. That light can look like a soft blue. And you can also see yellow light as well from sodium atoms, okay? But this air glow is something that is not visible with the eye except from the darkest sites on the planet. If you're on the darker sites on this planet, you might look up and say, oh man, it's cloudy. You'd literally think it's cloudy. But the clouds don't look quite right. The clouds look like they are less defined. Almost like a haze, but with streaks. What is that? It's actually the atoms and the molecules that are releasing this faint light. Okay, that's the air glow. And so that's some of the characteristics. So let's go through some of the Bore-tle scale 1 to 9 and see what constitutes a really, really dark site and what really constitutes a site that you want to run from as fast as you can. Now, lowest on the scale is number 1. Excellent dark sky sites. Now, in this case, the zodiacal light is visible and it's even colorful. You can see it in color. The Gegenschein is also visible. Remember, the zodiacal light is the ecliptic dust that are being reflected back to the eye that are on the ecliptic plane. And the Gegenschein is the point directly opposite the sun where we're getting direct reflection back from those particles and we can see it. So we see that. And air glow is also easily visible to your eye at this point when you see this. Now, the summer Milky Way has the most amazing effect on you. In these cases, I've seen this one time. The summer Milky Way is so bright, it casts a shadow. You can see your shadow from the summer Milky Way in these really dark sky sites. Remember, there's no other light but the stars. So it's amazing, and because of the sheer number of stars, most of the constellations that you think you know are completely a mystery to you. You can't make out heads or tails of these because of how many stars are visible, And most of the Messier objects we talk about, remember Charles Messier in the 1700s, he put together a list called Messier Catalog, Messier, and he came up with a bunch of objects that were not to be mistaken for comets. It turns out those are the most interesting objects to look at. And most of those objects many of those objects, I should say, that he came up with, and many of the globular clusters, which are just look like exploding snowballs of stars, many of these are naked eye objects in these dark sky sites. And one of the a fainter galaxy that is used as a test for a dark sky site is the Triangulum Galaxy, Messier 33. In a site like this, where you have a dark sky Bore-tle value of 1, the Triangulum Galaxy is something you can look straight at and see it with your eye, in the same way that you can look at the Andromeda Galaxy right near it. Though they would both be naked eye objects, okay?
I saw M33 Triangulum Galaxy naked eye once in my life. I was living near the top of Fremont Pass up in the Central Rockies here, and 1980, I was living in a log cabin in the woods, and I had no electricity. I'd go out and watch the skies at night, and I saw M33 naked eye one night.
Wow.
I would say the sky was coal black, but it really wasn't. I mean, it was just a dead dark sky, though.
Well, and you might have seen the air glow then, if you had known about it then, yes?
I don't recall ever seeing air glow.
Okay.
But hypothetically, I suppose it would have been possible, yes. M31 Andromeda Galaxy was obvious. I mean, you could see, several moon widths of it across the sky.
Oh, yeah.
But I actually picked out M33 naked eye once.
Yeah. See, and that's an amazing feeling, too. Now, one of the things, too, is because of these sites being so dark at level 1, one of the things that is problematic now are the planets. Jupiter. The planet Jupiter will be so bright in the sky that it'll actually affect how well your eyes adapt to the dark sky. Now, in normal skies, you look at Jupiter and just turn away and you still see the Milky Way. But in a really dark sky, Jupiter is so bright, relatively speaking, that it'll actually affect your ability to adapt to the dark sky. That's pretty cool. That tells you that a lot's going on. And air glow, of course, will be pretty visible to you. And that would be those molecular and atomic interactions where they give off light. Again, it's a photo effect that happens with the atoms and molecules in the atmosphere. During the day, like I said, they store energy like a battery. At night, they give it off as light. So now, any clouds in the sky, they're just dark against the sky. Okay, we have that, by the way, at SkyTour Livestream West. We have dark clouds in the sky versus anything else. It's really, really pretty. So that is an amazing site if you have a dark sky site level 1. Now, Daryl, you were at a site that was level 2, a Bore-tle level 2 site in Colorado. And a level 2 or Bore-tle 2 sky, the zodiacal light is still visible. This reflected light from the solar system is still visible, but it's distinctly yellow in color. And it's bright enough to cast shadows in the darkness at dusk and dawn. Same as a Bore-tle level 1. That's pretty impressive. And you might even see that air glow we talked about, but down near the horizon. You're looking through more air, so you can expect that the air glow would be more pronounced at a certain point getting close to the horizon. Then when there's more air involved, it washes out the air glow. But clouds are also very dark against the sky. And this is a Bore-tle 2 sky now. So if you try looking around, the area around you is just barely visible against the sky. It's almost like a merge between the two. In the Bore-tle 1 sky, you can't see anything between the sky and the ground. It doesn't really look. It looks like a continuous darkness all the way down. But Bore-tle 2, you can see a little bit of a difference. Also in a Bore-tle 2 sky, you might have a little bit of capability to see that triangulum galaxy we talked about. And it says it's, at Bore-tle 2, you probably will be able to easily see it in the night sky. That's pretty cool. Can you just imagine now with a telescope and a photographic capability and the ability to do some extensive research on these objects. Can you imagine how these things are going to look? I mean, I'm getting just the wrong thing to talk about tonight because my telescope for a SkyTour live stream is still sitting in a storage location out in Arizona right now, and I just want this thing up and running. I'm going crazy. But we'll move on now to the Bore-tle 3 skies. And why Bore-tle 3? Because that's what we have for SkyTour Livestream West. We have Bore-tle 3 to 3.5, okay? The zodiacal light under those skies is striking in the spring and the autumn, and the color is still there. There is a little bit of light pollution evident at the horizon. That's true. We do have some. Toward the east, we have Phoenix, 65 miles away. And we do have a light dome, we call it, of Phoenix in that direction toward the east. East is the best direction to have these things in. It clears our southern and western horizon totally from anything that bothers it. Again, clouds are dark in the night sky. That's what these are here. You can see a vaguely visible silhouette of a cactus against the dark night sky if you're looking at the sky. The summer Milky Way is very complex looking. You see all the knots. You see the dark nebula. You see the bright nebula. Really, really amazing. Many naked eye objects in the Mesher catalog. and that triangulum galaxy we talked about, also visible, but you might have to use what's called averted vision. If you look directly at it, you might not see it, but if you look to the right a little bit, then you can use the architecture of the human eye to pick it up, because the human eye has rods around the outside and cones in the middle. Rods around the outside are black and white receptors, very sensitive. The cones are the color receptors. They need a lot of energy to fire. Okay, well, looking directly at Messier 33 or the Triangulum Galaxy at a Bore-tle 3 sky, you won't see it. If you move your head just off center, it'll pop into view because those rods are now taking over. That's something that's pretty cool. So now we still have a naked eye Triangulum Galaxy out there. Now you keep going to a Bore-tle 4 sky, and that's called a rural suburban type transitional sky. Okay, the zodiacal light is still visible, but it's going to be really faint. Okay, you have the light pollution domes of cities around you. They're visible in many directions. Clouds are illuminated in the directions of the light source, and maybe they're dark overhead. The surroundings, though, are clearly visible, even at a distance. That shows you there's a lot of ambient light in your location. All right. The Milky Way is still impressive, but it lacks a lot of detail. Okay. This is not Skytour Livestream West. This is worse than our sighting location. So the only, there's only hints of the zodiacal light, and those are seen on the best nights, actually. For these locations, but it still exists, and you can see it pretty easily. All right. Now, the one thing to note here is that the Triangulum Galaxy using averted vision is visible under a level Bore-tle 4 sky, but it's only visible when it's really high in the sky. When you're looking through more air mass, as we call it, more air, all right, when it's lower to the horizon, you won't see it. All right. Now, a Bore-tle 5 sky, all right, there's only the subtlest of hints of zodiacal light, and only on certain days of the year can you see it. Light pollution's visible in most, but maybe not all the directions. Clouds are noticeably brighter than the sky in many directions. The Milky Way is very weak, invisible near the horizon, and it might look washed out overhead. When it's a half moon, first or last quarter, the sky, a dark location, if it's half moon in a dark location, the sky will appear like this. But the sky will also appear dark blue to you in these locations. There's no real zodiacal light between here and the next Bore-tle scale of 6. Light pollution at Bore-tle scale 6 makes the sky within 35 degrees of the horizon real grayish white, and the clouds anywhere in the sky appear fairly bright. High clouds appear brighter than the sky background. The surroundings are really easily visible. You can clearly see everywhere you look. You don't worry about tripping there. The Milky Way is only visible near the zenith in such situations, and you won't see the Triangulum Galaxy at all. The Andromeda Galaxy, which you could see all throughout the previous places, is only limited in its appearance. You can only see it a little bit, and sometimes with averted vision only. All right. So this is the Bore-tle 6. Now the 7, it's just getting worse from here, folks. Light pollution makes the entire sky gray. There's strong light sources everywhere you look in all directions. The clouds are brightly lit. The Milky Way is almost gone, if not totally invisible. The Andromeda Galaxy might be visible, but not with any detail. The brightest Messier objects in a telescope are going to be ghosts of what they really are. So they're not very well. They aren't fleshed out very well. And if we now head into a city sky at Bore-tle 8, the sky is gray or orange. You could easily read. just from the ambient light in the sky. The stars that form these familiar constellation patterns might be weaker and visible for a Bore-tle 8 sky. Messier 31 now, the brighter galaxy we talked about, the Andromeda Galaxy, can only be seen by the most experienced observers, and only on good nights. Even with a telescope, some of the bright Messier objects might be so washed out that they might almost not be visible. And then we get to the final one, Bore-tle 9, the center of Denver, Phoenix, Arizona, San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York City. These locations, they're brilliantly lit. There's almost no reason to be there, in my opinion. I think that cities should just go by the wayside. I don't know about you guys, but I think that cities are probably not a real good, not a good thing, especially for this. And aside from the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, there's no Messier objects that are visible to the naked eye. The Pleiades are Messier 45, by the way. And the only objects to observe there are the moon, the planets, and a few of the brightest star clusters, and that's it. That's a Bore-tle 9 sky. So there it is, 1 to 9. And Daryl, you're in Colorado, and when I looked online, it said Bore-tle 7 for you. Is that accurate or not?
That's downtown, and it's really bad downtown, especially with the prevalence of LED lighting now. I looked it up on light pollution map. I'm still over toward the east edge of town, not on it anymore because the town's going around me, but it's a Bore-tle 5 where I live.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. And I know we have to take a break, but I just wanted to mention that Amanda is in Nova Scotia, and she has Bore-tle 4 skies where she is.
I was wondering.
Yeah, I'm not
Bore-tle
leaving
4.
out.
Good to know. Thank you. Bore-tle 4.
Yeah, I'm in Connecticut here, and we have at SkyTour Livestream East, we have Bore-tle 5 skies, about a Bore-tle 4-5. So, yet you can see the most amazing things, as you've seen with what we can do here. So, sheesh, Amanda, you got the best skies of all of us at our homes, but where she lives is never clear.
Well, I was about to say, you say that, but anytime anything happens in the sky, an eclipse, an alignment, a meteor shower, anything, it's cloudy, rainy, snowy, something, clouds. Yeah. Every time. That's why we rely on your stream.
Yeah, I guess, but something? We can rely on SkyTour Radio in just a few more minutes, but I think we're going to have to take a break right now. Is that okay, Amanda? We can do that. Yeah, okay. Then why don't we do that? Because Amanda says so. Hey, folks, we'll be right back. Daryl and Amanda and I will return after these messages. Stick with us here on kgradio.com. We'll be right back.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Permanent industrial glue impossible to remove? Not anymore, because Handyman Formula by D-Bond is a patented chemical adhesive remover. It's used in the building and home maintenance industry, but now it's available for your home use, for your DIY projects. Unglue stickers, silicone rubber, labels, price tags, flex tape, weather stripping, carpet glue, wood glue, liquid nails, even 3M 5200. And it dissolves graffiti Yeah, graffiti. Handyman Formula by D-Bond works, and it's safe to use on most surfaces. No need to call a professional. Don't get out the pliers and blowtorch. Just apply a little Handyman Formula by D-Bond and wait 90 seconds, then quickly and easily pull the items apart. Get unstuck. Visit dbondhandymanformula.com. That's dbondhandymanformula.com or call 561-575-4200. Handyman Formula by D-Bond.
Please listen. Now is not the time to fear. When your immune system is strong, shields up. You have very little worries. If your immune system is compromised, you're susceptible to all viruses. I say shields up and no fear. Try Heart Love from GetTheTea.com. Heart Love has a special ingredient called allicin. It comes from the healing part of the garlic plant. No garlic breath. No garlic leaking out your pores, just pure immune-building ingredients that gets your shields up. Heart Love is a unique blend of herbs that loves to build you up. Google garlic and know the benefits. One Heart Love pill is equal to 20 cloves of garlic. 20 cloves! Shields up. You've heard of our Life Change Cleansing Tea at GetTheTea.com. Now try Heart Love. And by the way, take your blood pressure and watch weekly what happens. So here's how to purchase. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com and build your shields. That's GetTheTea.com. Mention Ray in the coupon code and hit apply and receive free shipping.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Redfern and you're listening to Sky Tour Radio with Mark D'Antonio on the KGRA network, and so are the Men in Black.
Now you have the inside contact for alternative talk radio. The Planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Sky Tour Radio. This is Mark with Amanda and Daryl. You know, we were talking over the break about dark sky locations, and I just wanted to throw a few at you that I think are pretty interesting. And just starting with, in comparison to Sky Tour Livestream West, our desert location, we're going to have out there, we do have Bore-tle 3.5 skies. But Daryl, you know what? I really would like to hear what you talked about over the break. Is actually something I think is a good thing to talk about. And so I'm kind of breaking from what I was going to go through to let you talk about this whole light pollution issue. We've talked about it before, yes, but you know something? I don't think you can ever talk about it enough. And when you mentioned that you talk about it on other online services, and you know if people give you a hard time about it, that really rubs me the wrong way. I don't.
Rubs me the wrong way too.
Yeah, and now that I know that, I'm going to come out there and join you, and we'll just go after them because these people don't get it. They don't understand. You know, that a dark sky has been recognized as a true ecosystem. All right, that has to be preserved. It's not like it's just the sky. A dark sky is a very important ecosystem that actually helps preserve our sanity. I know that sounds crazy and it sounds like a reach, but it's not. Just witness the look on someone's face when they look up at a beautiful dark sky for the first time. Ask them their impressions of what it was like. And the fact that they can't find the words should tell you all you need to know. When I had this group out in Wyoming, we went out into we went 2 miles out of town, 2 miles out of Hewlett, Wyoming, and we could still see the Milky Way in Hewlett with streetlights. But we left 2 miles out of town. The sky was, look, no words. It was glorious. But it was only 21 degrees, like I said. Very cold. So I quickly realized, well, that's the cold that you would feel in deep space as the heat wicked away from your body and you radiated all the rest of your heat away. But it was just a gorgeous sky, and everyone there came back. And you know something? The only words they were saying were things like, wow. It's like, I can't believe, what a sky. They couldn't even finish sentences. You know, and this, you can tell when people see these things for the first time. And think of what that does for your mental health. It improves your mental health tremendously. If you can walk out your door, look up and see a gorgeous sky, you're reminded that you're not alone, number one, and that there's so many more opportunities for life out there in the universe than just what's here. It gives you hope. It reminds you we're not alone. It makes you feel wonderful. You feel secure under the beautiful dark sky with these glittering jewel boxes in the sky. I just think it's a beautiful thing, you know? And, your efforts should be applauded for going at these people to try and bring them into line here, because that's the wrong thing to try and say that a dark sky isn't important.
Well, God, don't get me started.
That's the whole point. Getting you started kind of works out. I mean, this is a good thing.
I used to belong to the International Dark Sky Association back in the 90s, okay, and I beat the drums about light pollution in Colorado, specifically here where I live in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
But we could see the problem worsening even back in the 90s. I did public programs up in the mountains every summer for the state parks, and locals would come. This is way down into the southwest mountains, the San Juans. Locals would come to my star parties and presentations and such, and they were commenting then back in the 90s that their skies weren't what they used to be. And it's only gotten much worse in the meantime.
Yeah.
If you really want me to get into this, I comment occasionally on Reddit. Okay. I often wish I didn't, but I do. And Colorado is being loved to death. Okay. It's just the truth. When I first came here, the Springs was maybe 150, 170,000 people. It is now 500,000 people.
Yeah.
And the metro area, El Paso County, is like over 750,000 people now. It's just boomed like crazy. The developers love it. The town fathers love it. The realtors love it. But I have seen the skies here absolutely go to crap. And all these newcomers on Reddit, they're here from L.A. and San Francisco and New York City and Boston and Chicago and stuff. They don't get it. They will never get it. And every time I talk about light pollutions there, I get slagged for it. When I did a dark sky site search out east back in the 90s for the Astronomy Club, I drove all the way to Kansas one night. That's 150 miles due east of here, and got off the highway and went down a back road a ways to get away from headlights, and turned around and looked west. I could plainly see the light dome over Colorado Springs 150 miles away, and a much bigger light dome over Denver, which was about 200 miles away.
Wow.
And it's only gotten worse since. Now I go to this place out east we talked about, Carmel, Colorado it's called. It's a tiny little ranching burg out halfway to Kansas, and it has Bore-tle 2 skies now. You could see various light domes all the way around you, and it was actually a good sign, though, in some ways, because every other tiny little town out there on the eastern plains, which are all farming or ranching communities, you can see their tiny little light domes at various places around the horizon.
Yeah.
Now, if you turn and look to the west for the Springs, or southwest for Pueblo, or northwest for Denver, you could get huge light domes. But I found that with a little strategic positioning, to get landforms in between hills or sand pits, bluffs and stuff to cut off that light dome, you still had a pretty darn good sky.
Wow.
But these people, all these newcomers, one of the hottest zip codes in the entire country, this was like either the number 1 or number 2 hottest real estate market in the entire company, is about a stone's throw to the northeast of me, 80922. And housing prices have they're ridiculous. They've gotten so expensive. My house is worth 4 times what I paid for it. Luckily, I own it free and clear now, but I couldn't afford to buy a house here now if I had to.
Yeah.
And all these people come here. They're transplants, bless their hearts, but they never will know what they're missing. The Colorado I used to know, I've observed at 11,000 feet elevation and dead black skies, and it's going away rapidly. and nobody cares. And if I try to talk about it, they slam me or just plain deny what I say. I told that about the light domes from Denver and the Springs being visible from the Kansas border, and I had people come on and flatly deny that was possible, and they called me names for saying it.
You know something, though? I can tell you right now, I did the same thing in Wyoming. I saw the lights of Gillette, Wyoming from over 100 miles away, and I actually used those same lights to silhouette Devil's Tower in a photograph I took.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you can't say it isn't happening because there it is right in front of you. I took the photo to prove it. You couldn't see them with your eye until you took the photo. There they were, and it's like, wow. And it was mostly sodium vapor lamps, actually, that were over in Gillette.
Yeah.
It's over 100 miles away. So, listen, I mean, I don't know why people do this denial thing. Maybe they just want to start trouble, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, you know what? They're not being fair, number one, and they're not caring to pay attention. They only know where they want to, what they want to do with their lives. They want to know what they want to do for security lighting, and they don't care if the light aims straight up into the sky. But at least in Connecticut now, as well as Arizona, you can't set a light up and aim it up into the sky. If you do that, it's against the law. And
there are light pollution laws here. They're not enforced. What happens is you pretty much, you go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy any lights you want, and commercial developers put up any lights they want. Only if somebody complains will they try to do something about it. And even then, it's the old thing, it's better to ask forgiveness than permission, and they usually give them forgiveness. They don't enforce the lighting codes they do have here, and it's gotten horrible here.
Yeah, it's a good thing I don't live there, because I'd probably find myself being very much hated by the communities, because I would never give up, and I would make it loud and obnoxious, and I would make sure that they follow the rules, and I'd want to make sure that people understand the value of a dark sky.
Well, all I can say is you take city slickers like these. I've heard stories where they've had power outages in big cities in LA or New York or whatever, and people actually see a truly dark sky for the first time in their life. Mm-hmm. And what's their reaction? It scares the willies out of them.
That's right. They're afraid. Yeah.
Or they start calling the cops. There's this great big fuzzy bright thing up in the sky. Oh my God, what is it? Well, it's the Milky Way. And they've never seen it before.
I had that happen with a person from New York City, and it was their first time ever seeing a real dark sky. And it was a whole group of people that I was talking to. And when they came out, there was this one female. She just started sobbing uncontrollably, and we're like, what's wrong? You okay? And she's like, yes, I'm afraid to look up in the sky. This is so frightening to me. I'm like, what? In my head, I'm thinking, what? But I understand. I knew I was sort of prepared for it. And I said, you know what? This is what it really looks like. This is the sky. Don't be afraid. Look up. Do you see what you see up there? Those are the stars you're missing. That's everything you miss when you're in New York City. Look up. This is what you see when you're not surrounded by thousands of kilowatts of light all around you. It's healthy. You feel that feeling you feel inside? That's the feeling of freedom. That's the feeling of peace and serenity and tranquility. That's the feeling of being under a dark sky. It's good for you. And she could, to her credit, she got past it, even though she was still a little timid about it, but she was truly afraid of it, like you say. And I felt bad, because that's like, she said, I've never, ever seen this in my entire life. She was in her 30s. So what's that tell you,
Yeah.
People who don't look down, they don't look up ever,
bright lights, big city. And that's
Yeah.
glamorous to a lot of them. That's all they've ever known, and that's all they know when they move here. And the saddest part of all this is they're doing their darndest to turn Colorado into what all these people ran away from.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And this verges on politics, which I'm not going to talk about, but they're, oh God, people on Reddit, well, daily in the local subreddit, people will say, hey, I want to move to Colorado Springs. What's the good neighborhoods? What's the bad parts of town? And generally speaking, you want to stay away from the southeast part of town, okay? It's just a fact of life. And some joker from Chicago will chime in, oh, I'm from Chicago, and that ain't beans compared to the Windy City, What are you scared of anyway? Mm-hmm. Well, screw it, this isn't Chicago. This isn't New York City. This isn't L.A. And you're doing your damnedest to turn it into what you ran away from.
Yeah.
And they're so freaking snotty about it.
Well, I don't understand why people do that kind of thing, but I do know that I'm, all I can do is do what we are doing with Sky Tour Life Team. For instance, Daryl, we are trying to bring astronomy to the masses in a way that they've never seen it before. I hate to say it, but in this time of the pandemic, it's something that people actually are reaching for because they want to do something. I like to say that, the pandemic, I want it to go away as soon as possible. I really do. Because it's keeping me from getting to Arizona to set up the telescope. I've canceled the trip 6 times now to go out. Just add it up. Look at the cost there, but adding it all up, there's a lot of money wasted here. I get credits, of course, but if you think about it, this problem is keeping me from doing this is something that's really I don't know. It's a football being kicked around by so many people. I'm sick of the football. I want it to go away. Everybody wants it to go away, but you know what? We still have to be careful. And I understand that. So I will keep canceling as much as I have to, but I'm getting tired of canceling. I'm thinking if I go out there, I might not come back. I'm going to stay out there and make it a one-way trip, and then just stay out there until this is up and running. Maybe I'll be there for 3 weeks or longer to get it all working, because I really, really want to make sure that this is up and running. The very next time I go, I'm not leaving until it's up actually live. We go live, right? So you'll be with us when we go live out there, Daryl, because you're going to be obviously part of it.
We should talk offline about Murphy's Law.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of Murphy's Law we've already been through. Trust me. Okay. Yeah. The first time, here's one for you. The first time we went to build the observatory building, and of course, Marianne Robb, who is just an amazing human being who has, she's Phoenix Move On, but she's also a good friend, police officer in Arizona. And she, besides threatening to tase me every time she sees me, she gets off on that. Hello, well, fine, tase me and get it over with. She's been managing the building, getting it built and all that stuff in my absence because I couldn't get out there. Well, she's done a superlative job along with Tara, who actually did the artwork for the door to the observatory. And Marianne is trying desperately to get all these little things finished, out there that have to happen. And, it's not like this is right around the corner. Okay. The observatory is several hours from where she lives, right? It's in the middle of the desert. It's not in Mesa, Arizona. Okay. So this is definitely it's a chore. Once you go, it's a commitment to the entire day. Well, the first time we were going to build the building, the company said, yep, we have in the contract here that the building's going to have a roll-off roof. We got that. We understand that, they said. Then the night before the builder was coming out to build it, I called the builder. And I said, so you're all set for tomorrow? Yeah. So what's the stuff about the building roof coming off? I went, what? Yeah, it says the building roof is going to be separate. Yeah, we don't build them like that. I go, why were you saying it was okay and that you understood it? Oh, I do understand it, but the roof can't be separate. Well, then you don't understand it, do you? Okay, it's a roll-off roof building. I mean, how do I say that without saying the words slowly? Roll-off roof. And he basically said that he can't build a building because the roof is what ties all the walls together. And I said, no, that's not what we asked for. It's been in the contract for almost 6 months. Oh, well, nobody told me. I go, nobody told you? You're the builder. You're supposed to be consulting with us. We shouldn't be telling you. You should be calling me. And then I finally, at the end of the conversation, I said, you know what? I think we got the wrong group of people that are going to be building our building. So we're not going to move forward with you. And he basically, I just heard him kind of sigh on the other end of the phone, and I hung up. And then, of course, Marianne picked up the charge, and she found another builder in no time. And this guy was as responsive. He drove 100 miles from his home to come out and build this thing in the desert. We put him up in a hotel for a couple nights, to actually be able to do this. And he then came back again to do something else for us. It's like, it's all a matter of explaining things to people, I guess. But then again, no matter how many times you explain things, sometimes they just don't want to hear it. They don't want to get it, And this guy made it. This guy we finally got, Jesse. It was perfect. It's perfect in every regard. He did a fantastic job. He even installed a solar roof vent so we can get the heat out of the building during the day. Because keep in mind, it's going to get really hot in there during the day. So a lot of really interesting challenges we had in this building. But thanks to Marianne, without which, by the way, this project would never have happened, just so everybody understands. She stepped up to the plate, and I can't thank her enough. But I kind of always do publicly because I want her to understand that this was just an amazing effort that she took on, a Herculean task amid all the rest of the challenges she has in her life right now. So I'm pretty impressed with her.
I predict Marianne will be a qualified telescope technician by the time this is all done with.
Don't you think? I think she's already. She's definitely an observatory building professional. I can tell you that. She's already got that straightened out, So she just knows as much astronomy as Amanda, though. So Amanda, you still got her beat. Just so you know.
On my game before she surpasses me.
Oh yeah, you're well ahead of her astronomically yet, But I will say this: she does have a number of the Sky Tour live stream photos up on the wall, and I want to just mention.
She told me about that. She makes posters out of them. That's awesome.
Well, here's the thing, folks. If anyone wants these, there is a charge for these because, of course, we have to spend time, and I have to change the resolution of these photos. They're very good resolution natively, but to make them into a large poster like a 20 by 24 or even bigger, a wall-sized, wallpaper type thing, I have to change the resolution, and I use an artificial intelligence program to do it. And that takes a lot of time and effort, and that comes down, unfortunately, to money. So if you want photos you can print as poster-sized photos, check out one of the latest posts on Facebook I did. You can see some of the examples of what we can do. And let me know, because I'll be happy to size something for you. Well, I will say this. You guys have wasted another wonderful 2 hours with us, going through pointless stuff like light pollution and the study of the Bore-tle scale. Of course, that's facetious.
And we had a lot of people turning up for our new time, too.
I'm really happy about that, actually. I want to
remember that for next week. Yeah. Hopefully no one was looking for a commander and too disappointed. Hopefully they stayed around, and maybe we'll come back next week.
Well, yeah, those of you that are new here, that just heard this and say, hey, this is an interesting show, hopefully. Why don't you subscribe to Sky Tour Livestream on YouTube, and then you can join us in the live observatory. But you know what? Until next week, we will talk to you, I guess, on the flip-flop. And if you want to talk to us, you can. Our email is skytourradio@kgraradio.com. All right. On behalf of Amanda and myself and Daryl, I want to thank you for listening. And we will talk to you again next week. So remember, when you go outside, keep looking up.
From the safety of your own backyard.
And not while you're driving.
Night, everybody.